Hello, Psych 1100 Section 3.
Have you ever wondered what motivates children to share?
Is it money,
Social status?
fairness,
Friendship?
or the county fair?
I love the county fair.
Marcus Paulus wondered the same thing.
Join us as we go to Germany in a small town called Munich.
The following is a dramatized version of the Marcus Paulus's study.
Once upon a time, there was a study done according to Science Daily. On a beautiful spring day in Germany, a researcher got together a few groups of preschool kids. One group aged 3 to 4 and another aged 5 to 6. Let's call the ones in this video Hans, Franz, Hansel, and Gretel. The researcher asked each kid privately to draw a picture of their friend and one person they didn't like. Hans was left out of this part of the study because he had no friends. We'll get to him later. The main character of this story is Gretel. Her friend was given 100 stickers, while her non-friend Franz was only given 3. Poor Franz. Who do you want to give your stickers to? The researcher asked Gretel. Gretel gave her stickers to her friend, not Franz. Poor Franz. On another day, the researcher gathered the children again. This time, the kids were asked to divide their stickers between a friend and a stranger. Once again, Gretel gave most of her stickers to her friend, but this time was more likely to give stranger Hans stickers than she was to give non-friend Franz a sticker. Poor Franz. And they all lived happily ever after. Or so the media would like you to believe. Well, except for Franz, who got no stickers. Poor Franz.
We wanted to point out some of the major similarities between the Science Daily article and the actual research article. First off, in both studies, the point was to see which characteristics played a major role in early childhood sharing. For example, positive relationships versus negative relationships, otherwise known as friend versus non-friend, was included in both studies. The friend always got more stickers than the non-friend or stranger. Secondly, by age 3 to 4, children are more generous toward their friend than other children, i.e. a stranger or non-friend. Both articles followed the same general format or structure. They first had an abstract which summarized the whole article. Then they had an intro which was mainly discussing the previous research done by other researchers. Then they described the experiment conducted. They both had some sort of conclusion following the experiment. They both discussed the limitations of a study, where the researcher didn't throw in an emotional component. They didn't try to trigger sympathy and empathy in the test, which could dramatically change the results.
Now that we've discussed some of the similarities between the two articles, there are quite a few differences. First of all, Science Daily left out an entire experiment in the study, where even though they still had a friend and a non-friend, they gave the children control over how many stickers they could give. They could even split them evenly if they wished. They also did not mention the levels and blocks that were included in the experiments that allowed the researcher to eliminate and examine certain variables like envy, cost to child, and so forth. Science Daily also includes quotes from Paulus, the researcher, that don't entirely match the study. Science Daily said, "The results revealed a strong preference for sharing with a friend. This clearly shows that, in both groups, willingness to share is primarily dependent on the giver's social relationship with the potential recipient." However, the closest thing to that quote in the original study is, "The results provide clear evidence that preschool children across 3 to 6 years of age show a strong preference to allocate resources to their friend, even though this recipient already possessed a large amount of resources. This suggests that preschoolers' sharing is primarily motivated by their social relations with the respective recipients." Another example of this is when Science Daily quoted Paulus saying, "This indicates that the significance of social relationships actually increases as the children get older. However, there's no such quote in the original study. The closest thing to it is it shows that the impact of social relationships on sharing and resource allocation decisions might become more important during the course of development. The fact that no interview is mentioned between the Science Daily journalist and the researcher Paulus, but the excerpts are still written in quotes, is kind of suspicious, honestly. The original study says it has been proposed that giving and taking of resources develops out of playful interactions with significant others, and that its main function may be to maintain and regulate social relationships and mutual enjoyment with close others. Science Daily also used a lot of causal language, such as determine and phrases like primarily dependent and will give. Even though the original study was an experiment, the researcher still uses words like suggests, seems to, could be, provide support, and might, recognizing that other lurking variables may be at play and consensual validation plays an important role in scientific advancement. His single study is not the end-all be-all of sharing studies.